and take action and make it happen. Because we always have these, oh, I'll do that someday. And you don't know how long you have on this planet, right? So just make it happen. Don't put it off. Listen to your gut. If your gut's telling you to go take this trip, do it because you're meant to be there. You're going to learn something from it. Something else is going to come out on the other side that you would have never expected. And that's what's happened to me every single time that I've.
Welcome to the Last Life Ever podcast. I am one of your hosts, Jillian Sidoti, and here I am with my co-host, Jeffrey Holst. Jeff, who do we have on the pod today?
We have a repeat guest, Meredith Louden. We had her on to talk about sleep not that long ago. And today, Jillian, we're going to talk about something that's near and dear to my heart. I mean, sleep is obviously important too, but in this particular case, we're going to talk about the fact that she's actually running her coaching business while traveling the world indefinitely. Currently, I think she's coming to us from South America somewhere. We'll find out where. And she's just traveling the world and has no return ticket. And we're going to talk to her about how that experience has been and what kind of tips she has for traveling. Wow. Welcome back, Meredith. You know, it's not often that we have people on the show more than once. So congratulations on making that.
So happy to be here again. I'm really excited to dive into all things travel and even just like creating your ideal lifestyle, I think, is what plays into this and how I ended up where I am right now in South America.
So Meredith, where are you from originally?
I'm from the San Francisco Bay Area, California. So
and what's wrong with that place? Like, why can't you just hang out there all the time?
Well, my parents would have much preferred that, I will tell you. California is amazing. I was living in San Diego most recently before I sold all of my furniture, got rid of all my clothes except what I have in 2 suitcases, and flew to South America on a one-way ticket with credit card points. So it was a free flight. So I'm all about travel hacking as well.
What let me ask you, what made you choose South America as opposed to somewhere? I don't know if it's a little more traditional, but I noticed a lot of people, head to Europe or the Caribbean or something. Jeff and I headed to the Caribbean. So what made you choose South America?
Great question. I never expected to end up in South America. It wasn't my idea. I actually was in college and I wanted to study abroad, and everybody wanted to go to Spain to learn Spanish because that was just the most well-known place to go. And a friend of mine in my Spanish class said she was going to Santiago, Chile. And I was like, what's that? Where is Chile? And I decided to change my plan. I didn't go to Spain. I went to South America. I studied abroad for a year. I moved back after graduating for a whole other year, backpacked all around Chile, Bolivia, Peru. And ever since I did that, the travel bug was awakened in me. And my entire life plan of getting a medical degree and being a surgeon, which was what I always told people I thought I was going to do, that just went out the window. And I was not interested at all in that anymore. And I just wanted to travel and feel alive. That was like the most.
Okay. So I don't want to put an age on you necessarily, but how long ago was it that you did the study abroad about?
Study abroad was, I think 11 or 12 years ago. I'm 32 years old. So this has been really a 10-year long dream since I had to leave South America in 2014 because one of my best friends actually passed away from colorectal cancer at the age of 23 years old. And so that's kind of what brought me back to the United States when that happened. And ever since then, I've been saying, one day I'm going to travel through every country in South America indefinitely, low travel, no return ticket. And then finally 10 years later, here I am.
So, all right. So that's awesome because like a lot of people don't have the fortitude to follow goals for 10 years. So congratulations on that. But like, what happens when you slow travel through every country and you finish? Have you thought about that, or are you not even worried about it right now?
Oh man, I'm very future oriented. So I've kind of played around with what might be next, but the current goal is to travel. I want to see every single country in South America and Central America and the Caribbean and do the whole West Coast or Western Hemisphere. I think I'm saying that right. But Jillian, you asked, why did I go to South America? And so that's how I kind of ended up here, was because I was studying abroad and wanted to come back and see the whole continent. But there's a lot of other benefits to South America. One is that the time zones actually work out really well for my clients who are in North America, Europe, and I also have some clients in Australia. And so I'm kind of like in between all of the time zones to where I'm able to have coaching call that works out for everybody.
Okay. So let's back up for a second, because right now you're traveling alone. And what countries have you been to so far in Uruguay? I mean, in South America. I know you're. I know. I happen to know you're in Uruguay because you told us earlier. But where have you been so far in South America on this particular journey?
So on this journey, I arrived to Buenos Aires on Christmas Eve, and I had a
Oh,
friend there,
wow.
so visited
Oh,
them.
your parents must have been thrilled about you leaving on Christmas Eve. I
Oh
assume you
yeah,
celebrate Christmas.
it's not the first time I've done something like this, so they should be. However, I went to Rio de Janeiro for New Year's Eve, Copacabana Beach, which is one of the largest firework displays, I think, in the world on New Year's. So that was epic. Then I was in Brazil for 3 months total. So Rio, Sao Paulo, I went for Carnival, which was amazing. I was there in February. And then I was in a magical island called Florianopolis. From there, I went to Iguazu Falls, which are these phenomenal waterfalls on the border of Brazil and Argentina and Paraguay. The most magical, breathtaking thing I've ever seen in my life. I cried when I saw them. It was like,
Oh, wow.
that
Well,
insane.
can you say that name again for our audience so they can put that on their list of places to go?
Iguazu Falls,
Iguazu Falls.
IGUA. Oh, Iguazu Falls. Um, the best thing that I've ever done in my life. I think that was one of the most breathtaking experiences.
Amazing.
I'm adding it
Was
to
it
my
a
list.
fun hike?
It's very easy to do. There's
Okay.
a national park on the Brazil border and on the Argentinian side of the park, and it's very
Okay.
easy, very well planned out. We even got to go in a little boat where we go right up to the waterfalls, and you get like all soaked, and that was really cool. From there,
Oh,
I
wow.
went to
Okay, very
Paraguay.
cool.
Yes. So from there, I went to
Okay, and
Paraguay.
how did you like Paraguay?
Paraguay was a surprise. At least I'm pretty sure it's the least visited country in Latin America for tourism, because there's just not that many well-known things there. But
Yeah.
the food was amazing. The
Really?
best food I've had. Every restaurant was delicious. It didn't matter what the cuisine was. We had Mexican food, we had Japanese food, we had Paraguayan food. Everything just tasted amazing. And I need to figure out why that was. I think it's because they import more ingredients, and so they have more. I just don't really know, but that blew my mind.
Wow.
Interesting.
All right. So how long were you in Paraguay?
I was there for 2 weeks.
Okay.
Took a bus.
Right. So now we're filming this in mid-April. So you've been there like 4-ish months in South America. And you're currently in Uruguay, I believe, right?
Yes,
And
right.
how long have you been there?
Just 2 weeks so far, and I'm going to Argentina, Patagonia next. Then I'm going to go to northern Argentina, and then who knows? I haven't even planned it out that far. So I'm kind of doing just a month in advance so that it's flexible, and I'm kind of going with my gut. Where's my intuition telling me to go? And then I just book it and take it one step at a time.
How do you pack for that? If you don't know where you're going, like, like you
questions
said
there.
earlier, you have all of your clothes in 2 suitcases. And you're traveling with your husband, I think, right? So your
I
husband
am.
is traveling. So I'm assuming he also has his own suitcase or whatever. But how do you live on 3 suitcases or 4 suitcases for 2 people?
It's surprisingly so easy, and the best decision that I've ever made was getting rid of all of my stuff. Everywhere we've gone, I've never felt like I've been lacking anything. I've got my computer set up, my equipment, and then when it comes to clothes, you don't need that many different outfits because you're kind of always somewhere new. And a hack that I've been doing is booking Airbnbs that have a washing machine in them and that have a gym. So I'm still able to work out, still healthy, and I'm able to just keep my stuff clean very easily. And so you actually don't need that much.
Oh, wow. Okay, so what I assume you're give us an idea of what you have packed, because you're never coming back. So the assumption is that like, well, I mean, right now you're never coming back, right? You're whatever the future may hold, may hold. But you left with the assumption of, I'm not going to go back. I'm not going to return. Um, that is a big undertaking to figure out, what you're going to take. Like, and now we're a family of 5. We moved to Puerto Rico, knowing we're never going to come back to California. And we took a 40-foot container and 10 suitcases. So, between my family, we had 10 suitcases. A lot of it had wine within those suitcases. And that's what we took with us. So to me, I'm not a big packer when I take a trip, when I know the beginning and the end date. But this seems like a much bigger undertaking. So even though it's, you casually say like, oh, I just don't need a lot of outfits. What are the outfits though? What did you take?
I have actually a lot of clothing and probably more clothing than I need.
Okay.
When it comes down to it, the biggest thing is I bought these packing cubes where you can put your clothes in them. And so I
Okay.
decided, okay, how many things of sleepwear do I really need? I
I
need,
ordered those last night, by the way. Like
yeah,
after watching YouTube videos all night about how to pack, I ordered.
it's a game changer. So if I break it down, you need tennis shoes, some sandals, workout shoes, and, hiking boots if you want that. Then you only
Okay.
need like a couple pairs of pants, some shorts, and then however many tops that you need. I have all my physical therapy things with me. So that's really why I needed 2 suitcases, because I have my Pilates ring. I've got my lacrosse ball to like lay on my back. I have all of my little workout things with me, and I have like a special pillow that I threw in there. So when you kind of do the process of elimination, going through your clothes, you usually don't need it. And once you're down here, you can buy what you need anyway. And I think, like, I don't know if when you went to Puerto Rico, if you brought kitchen stuff with you, but I don't need any of that because
I did.
I'm
Yeah.
right. So
Yeah.
just the day-to-day items you don't actually need. So what do you need every day? Narrow that down, and it's actually quite little when it comes down to it.
No, that's great because it's funny because Jeff and I are going on this trip around the world, and I had made this comment to him that I was going to, myself and my 3 kids were only going to travel with backpacks. We were not going to bring roller bags, and I was not going to check any luggage. Like, I'm absolutely not going to check any luggage, but I'm also not going to bring a roller bag. I want to be nimble. I want to be able to move around. I don't want anybody to try to gate check my bag because there's not enough overhead space. I want it to be able to fit under the seat in front of me. And he thought, he must admit this, he thought I was crazy because he told me he was not going to go on that trip. He would not do that. And now I hear, Jeff, you're watching YouTube videos trying to figure out how you're going to do it too.
I am. I have been sufficiently inspired by you, Jillian. I will admit. I'm going to give it a try. But you know what happened, actually? And part of it was that, you said you were going to do it that way. And I started thinking about when we went to Tanzania and what you brought there. And what you brought there seemed unmanageable and terrible to me. But then I bought this bag that a friend recommended to me. And it's a backpack that opens like a suitcase, right? Like it zips up and like you can like fold it up with multiple compartments in it. And I bought that because I go back and forth to Puerto Rico all the time. And recently I've been traveling back and forth with just that back. Now it's easier when you have an apartment there already. It's like I don't need to bring pants, right? Like I did bring pants in my suitcase to Puerto Rico when I first moved to Puerto Rico. I literally like packed stuff that I wanted to take rather than rebuy it, like move it from Chattanooga to Puerto Rico. But I don't have to do that anymore. And I really like not having to wait for luggage at airports and stuff. So I thought, I wonder if I haven't committed to it, but I think I might be able to with packing cube. And but a month out of a single backpack is even more extreme than what you're talking about, right? Like you're at least having a suitcase and being able to like, have a few more things. But I think I can do it. I think it's about making a commitment to doing some laundry. That's really the main thing that you have to do if you want to travel with less clothes, is you have to be able to do laundry once a week or something.
Exactly. And I feel like it just depends on what your long-term goal is and what your day-to-day looks like as well. So day-to-day, I'm running my business. I film videos. I need my microphone, I need my camera, I need all of that set up. So that takes up a little bit more space, but I'm sure there's a way to make it portable to where it would still fit in your backpack. There's always so many new things these days that make it easier. And for me, I'm kind of like I'm living. I'm not really I am traveling, but I'm living as well. I'm slow traveling where I'm somewhere for at least a week, 2 weeks, a month at a time. I'm in the same place. And so for me, I don't need to be as nimble, even though would it be nice to not like have trouble picking up my 50-pound suitcase every time I need to put it into a taxi, of course. It would be way, way easier that way, but it's not um as necessary for me. But it just depends on your lifestyle. Like I've done the whole backpacking thing before and it's super fun and it's definitely feasible to do. It just depends on what's most important, the thing that you feel comfortable on your.
The thing is, I did backpacking before too, right? So like a lot of the listeners might already know this, but I backpacked around Europe in 1999, and I was fine. I did several, I think it was about a month and a half at the time, with just a backpack. It was great. It was fine. But back then I didn't have a smartphone and social media and I didn't have like this compelling need to like post things constantly and do Zoom meetings.
Yeah.
So like I don't know that I could have done what I want to do now out of the back of my head. But now that when I think about it now, I'm like, you know what though? I have different resources now than I had then also. And so like things like paying someone to do my laundry once in a while would have been absolutely not possible when I was on a $30 a day budget in Europe in the late 90s, where now it's like, if I have to spend an extra $10 or something, it's not absolutely the end of the world. And I'm kind of trying to do this, like, just to see if I can do it, like I'm like, and I'm a smaller backpack than I had then. Then that was a backpack that I could carry on my back, but I checked it, right? I want to try to do this with a carry-on size. And so, I mean, I had a 45-liter backpack before. Now I'm going to have like about 20 liters. It's like less than half the size. And still 4 weeks. It's not 6, but it's 4 weeks that I'm going to be gone. But I'm thinking like, I think I can do it. So I'm going to try it just to see. And the reason I want to do it is because I want the freedom of being able to do it this time. And if I can do it this time, that means I can have a bag packed. And if Jillian says to me, hey, do you want to go to the Maldives tomorrow? I can be like, yep, let's go. And just jump on a plane and go. I don't have to worry about
Right.
it. Or you say to
Right.
me, hey, my husband and I are in, Peru and we're going to Machu Picchu in 3 days. Do you want to come with? And I'll be like, yes, I do want to. I haven't been to Machu Picchu in a long time. So then I just fly down and I don't have to worry about it, right? That's my new goal. I have the flexibility to just go wherever I want, when I want, and still be able to function and do things like our mastermind meetings and record podcasts and stuff.
Yeah. Well,
1000%.
and Meredith, I can appreciate what Jeff is saying, and Jeff's, proposing to do this by himself. But before we moved to Puerto Rico, actually, before COVID, I had a little slush fund going that my kids and I were going to take a year off and we were going to travel the world. Very similar to what you're saying, long visits, if you will. And it didn't end up happening. So I guess my question for you is what you're doing good for kids, where you've been, would you feel, knowing that you're not bringing kids with you, would you bring kids? My kids are older, so like my 2 oldest ones are, getting closer to adulthood, so it's probably not as relevant. But what about for younger kids? Have you found that traveling around South America is okay for younger children?
Absolutely. Down here, like people have a lot of misconceptions, I think, about South America.
Mm.
There's really most places, everywhere I'm going is super safe, really nice. You have everything that you need. People have families here with kids everywhere. So there are
Yeah.
kids, not like, it's just whatever. But a friend of mine actually slow traveled through the whole continent of South America for 2 full years with her kids. And one of them was in middle school and one of them, I believe, was in high school at the time. And they had
Okay.
a great experience. And she has a whole Instagram. I think they're called, I can give you the name of it. Her name's Christina McAvoy. Max Explore, I'm pretty sure. And she teaches people how to travel with their kids and not put it off, because I think it's also really good for kids at a young age should experience different cultures and see different ways of living. Because just for me, living, like studying abroad opened my mind at 18 years old. And having that experience even younger, I think would be super, super beneficial.
Yeah, that's something I've always thought about. Like, I mean, I don't have children. I probably never will. But if I ever had children, I'd think that taking a year or two off in world schooling is like a really, really great strategy. Jillian and I actually interviewed someone that was doing that. Do you remember, Jillian? Who was it that we interviewed did that?
I remember. There were two people who did it. We had two different guests. One guest just had a terrible divorce, and of course, both of their names are escaping me now. But one had a terrible divorce, and she actually traveled around the world with her 4 children after this very
Oh, and then we
traumatic
had the people on the
divorce.
sailboat, right? So
And
we
the
had two.
sailboat,
We
yep.
had the sailboat
Mhm.
people too. Yeah, I forgot about the sailboat people. Yeah. Oh, I can't remember either of their names, which is really sad. But it was like 2 or 3 years ago in a previous iteration of this show that we did that. So the one old version of Last Life Ever, and then you can find those episodes. But I mean, listen, I really appreciate you coming back and talking about this. So I have just a couple of quick wrap up questions, and then we gotta end the show, unfortunately, Meredith. But if somebody is thinking about the idea of taking, maybe they can't take a indefinite period off because their life isn't structured the way yours is yet, but maybe they're going to take a month off in travel. What do you have any like specific advice that you would give them and say like this is something you need to think about?
In terms of specific travel advice, first I would go with, if you feel the calling to go do that, then listen to it and take action and make it happen. Because we always have these, oh, I'll do that someday. And you don't know how long you have on this planet, right? So just make it happen. Don't put it off. Listen to your gut. If your gut's telling you to go take this trip, do it, because you're meant to be there. You're going to learn something from it. Something else is going to come out on the other side that you would have never expected. And that's what's happened to me every single time that I've. So
That's great. That actually reminds me of what Jeff Alt said when he was on our show. Jeff Alt wrote this book about hiking the Appalachian Trail. And I asked him, like, well, why did you do it when you did it? And he was like, told us a story about how he was almost in this accident and like narrowly avoided serious injury. And it made him realize that we can't bank on our health and that someday may never come. Those two things together, like we can't bank on our health. And I think like for my own experience with getting leukemia and then having changed my entire life strategy because of that, like I've always said getting leukemia was one of the best things that happened to me because it woke me up from where I was. Like I could have just kept doing what I was doing, or I could go live a really extraordinary life, which is what, if it wasn't for me getting leukemia, none of us would be here on this show right now because the show would have never come out of my brain. I would have never thought to do that. I would still be like a semi-successful television commercial lawyer in West Michigan instead of someone who's thinking about like, maybe I'll just say F it and drop everything and travel the world, and maybe we'll run into each other somewhere down the line. So I hope that happens, Meredith. And thank you so much for being here. Jillian, do you have anything else before we wrap up?
I do. I have one last question. What credit card
Right.
did you use to get all the points?
Chase Sapphire Reserve when they have a sign-up bonus. So anytime I see a
Nice.
sign-up bonus, I'll apply for a new card.
Oh, I'm going to have to get myself
Hot tip
one.
there, guys.
I do not
Hot
have
tip, everyone.
the reason.
I have the
thank
Chase
you.
Sapphire. I do not have the Reserve. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much, Miss Meredith, for joining us again. I'm Jillian Sidoti. This is Jeffrey Holst. Jeff, what do you want to remind people of?
I don't know. Get the Chase Sapphire Reserve with a bonus. No, wait. I want to remind everyone, and that's, by the way, a pro tip on doing what I'm going to remind them, and that is to live the very best version of your last life.